All right. Ladies and gentlemen, our next speaker is very, very phenomenal. During my engineering, was also interested in the same field or a field similar to his. So when I got to know he's coming here, I actually was very happy to, get to know that he's going to be here. The reason being, it was just 75 years ago. We are actually a baby of a country, if you look at other countries. And I was interested in rocketry myself, especially on the energetic materials and how to take a computer and model and simulate the equations so we can have different materials in different chemical compositions and we can calculate the thrust and other parameters and change them and see if it explodes or not, or digitally. So I've been interested in rocketry from my own side, and Mr. Kalam is my inspiration. So when I got to know that this gentleman is coming here and speaking, so it made me very happy, and it gives me immense pleasure, ladies and gentlemen, to call him up on stage. And I'd just like to formally introduce him from the podium right now. Ladies and gentlemen, recently there was a cartoon in a newspaper where they made fun of us. They said we wanted to join the elite club. Do you remember that? Nobody saw it? When our moon missions were happening? Because they were unhappy. 75 years में हम कहाँ आ गए? और 75 साल देखो तुम लोग को पूरी दुनिया घुमाएंगे. And then another cartoon came in, which actually gave it back to them. It is not against anybody. We should actually take it against us, that we are now going to show them. So recently in the news, we were so proud. I remember when Chandrayaan 2 didn't make it, it was around midnight and we all were in tears. And then Chandrayaan 3 happened. And look at that dedication, the phenomenal, effort to quickly come back on their feet, take their learnings. But 2 and 3 were preceded by even a more phenomenal mission. You know why? They sent the man and the moon on 1969. They said we learned a lot about the moon. They yet couldn't detect water on it. It was us who showed the world what it means to really put the world's most best, economical, with the most reliable systems on the planet. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like all of you to stand up and give a round of applause for this gentleman who was involved with the Chandrayaan 1 mission, and he's here to have a conversation with us. His topic is Man to Moon and Beyond, Scaling the Unscalable, ex-ISRO, ex-NASA, Dr. Syed Maqbool Ahmed. Sir, please take the center stage. Give a round of applause, everybody.
Hello. Thank you so much. Thank you. Please be seated. I'm here purely because of one gentleman who is responsible, Debjyoti Das. He is my student at University of Hyderabad, and he has put me on this platform. I feel as if I have got my Guru Dakshina. Such a huge platform, and I'm a bit nervous, little bit nervous, because of, not because I'm among the best technocrats, not because we have a lot of admin guys and all, various different type of people, only because I was asked to speak. I am given 20 to 25 minutes. I have 30 slides, which I can cover in 25 minutes, and I got 5 to 6 anecdotes. I wish and hope that they will permit me to go ahead with the anecdotes also. Otherwise, I'll finish everything in 25 minutes. That's the plan, and let's hope.
That's the ISRO way, right? We finish it on time and we make sure it happens.
And sir, please keep the mic a little closer enough. So
yeah.
A little, yeah. This
Okay. Yeah, I think now I got the trick from him. So I made the instrument work on the moon. Still, I have to learn this. Okay. Yeah. Can I have the first slide, please? First slide. Can I have the first slide? Yeah, please go back to the first slide. Yeah, great. Yeah. So I just before I make a presentation, normally I make some kind of a platform. On that platform, I like to build my story, and that platform is the following. Moon is enigmatic. People have always been trying all kinds of things with moon. Poets have been writing wonderful poems. We know Muhammad Rafi became so popular among all the ashiks for that Chaudhwi Ka Chand. And of course, everybody has his own way of looking at his mashuka or whatever, connecting with the moon and all that. Now, moon is also a goal post for technocrats. I just like to take you back in time 400 years ago, when Galileo built the first space scope, they call. Galileo just took his telescope, looked at the moon. And he said that there are no lakes on the moon. There are no oceans on the moon. It's all barren land. So moon that way intrigued human right from the day we wanted to, our inquisitiveness was always there. So we wanted to always try out our best shot at the moon. And we all know about the Cold War between Russia, the USSR and US, where we also know who was the winner and all. So that went on. In fact, within 2 years of trying with the very first satellite, Sputnik, the Russians attempted to go to the moon, and they were successful in reaching the moon. So after the Cold War was all over, there was a lull of almost 15 to 20 years, and then in 2007 China went to the moon. And then here comes the story. My story starts from 2008. President Kalam was the president for us, and then we had just finished the Pokhran test. India wanted to show it to the world that I'm sorry for this President Kalam's views. This is my way of interpreting President Kalam's views. I may be wrong, so forgive me for if I do a overboard of statement. President Kalam said that we are doing exceedingly well in IT. It's okay. But he was not quite happy that the youth is all going after IT. He wanted Indian youth to come or to embrace STEM. In STEM you do have technology. But it is typical President Kalam's idea, and said that if India goes to the moon, we would do wonders. I don't know. I've been following very closely. You got to believe me that after the Chandrayaan 1 success, the application or the people applying to ISRO has went by 10 folds. There are a lot of guys who wants to go to ISRO and work for ISRO because the planetary exploration, the lunar success, and India going to planet Mars in its first attempt has really caught up with India, with every youth. And this is all the President Kalam's ploy. He intentionally did it. And we are so thankful. I'm standing here purely because of him. When India was going to the moon, he said that let's not just go to the moon, let us have a moon impact probe. Let us send a messenger which will go and fall on the moon. So I was part of that moon impact probe mission, where I built an instrument, and I'll take you through those. And with that, let me see if this is working well. The next slide I have pressed. Yeah. I want all of you to remember this picture. This is a fabulous picture which I want all of you to remember. As a child, I remember moon actually means humans going to the moon. You see Buzz Aldrin taking the picture of Neil Armstrong. You almost see Buzz Aldrin in that his face mirror. You can see Buzz Aldrin, and the guy is standing like that, the astronaut. For me, it is the same picture for India also. Right at the center, if this is working, the laser is okay. Right at the center, you have a picture snapped by Chandrayaan 2 orbiter. We have a orbital high resolution camera which will give 0.5 meter resolution image. So you can see that Vikram landing picture at the center, lander location, that pic is taken from above the moon at 100 kilometers above. And the picture on the right, can I go back? Please go back to the slide. Yeah. So on the right hand side, you see the Vikram lander's picture clicked by Pragyan rover. So this is an amazing achievement for India, where Where it, for me, whenever I see this picture, it's like India's Neil Armstrong movement. We have reached the moon. We clicked the picture of the moon. Okay, so let me go ahead and yeah. So okay, next slide, please. Yeah, so what I plan to do is I got 7 to 8 slides which will take you through what all India tried to do in Chandrayaan 1 and 2, and then I will concentrate more on Chandrayaan 3 where India, ISRO took a kind of a beating where in Chandrayaan 2 there was a failure and the Vikram could not land. That was a real kind of a, let me use the word bash, which ISRO said that we want to do it right. And I want to impress upon you that how immaculately ISRO did their homework and how they came out. So let me go through the first slides. And here I'm trying to show that India started in 2008. Maybe you can call it as a political, you may call whatever that decision is. India went to the moon, but they didn't know what all to do on the moon. That's why you can see that 6 instruments were all from abroad. Only 5 experiments, 5 missions were from India out of the 11. And I was part of the Moon Impact Probe. And that's how it all started in 2008. Next. Next one. Oh, yeah, so I just wanted to show you that when India went to the moon, India did an amazing job because if you Google and check, there was a Ranger mission which US carried out. In the Ranger mission, NASA made 6 continuous attempts to go past moon, take the pictures of the moon and come back. You got to believe this. Please Google right away and check. Ranger mission, NASA failed consecutively for 6 times. Can you believe this? So we had one hiccup in Chandrayaan 2 and we took it very seriously, but it takes a whole lot of effort to be able to go to the moon and take that picture. And this is, you can see that India going to the moon, and India took the best pictures ever clicked by the humans, almost a meter resolution and cartographic images. You can see those three-dimensional effect, craters within the craters and all. So it was an amazing success for India as far as the Chandrayaan 1 mission go. Next. So this is where Moon Impact Probe, which is no more there, it has actually fallen. I want to inspire a lot of kids and all and say that this box which you are seeing on the right hand side, it has fallen on the moon right next to the South Pole, right next to the South Pole. There is little bit of controversy that Vikram has not landed at South Pole and all. No big deal, as a matter of fact. This is the one which has landed right next. I'll show it to you with the proof where exactly it landed. And this was truly President Kalam's brainchild, that India would go and touch the moon. Next. Yeah, Moon Impact Probe, what was the idea? Once you go to the moon, revolve around the moon, and you get separated from the mother spacecraft and have a spun around. You'll be spinning around and then have an impact very close to the South Pole. And if I just tell you the results, we impacted at a place almost 2.5 kilometers from the place we intended to impact. It's just like hitting a golf ball from ISRO's headquarters into the swimming pool in Delhi's best 5-star hotel. You take it. We hit it. That was the accuracy to be put it in right perspective. Next. Yeah, so these are the pictures, first time ever the color pictures of the moon taken by a commercial camera attempted by the VSSC scientist. Never moon had been taken in color pictures. A couple of pictures, but I want to just run through. Next. Yeah, this is the proof where I'm trying to say that when I compare the pictures of what all has been taken from the ground and the pictures taken by the Moon Impact Probe, I can establish very exactly where exactly the impact has fallen. You can see the red spot, that is the impact, and you can almost see at the bottom, left bottom, that is exactly the South Pole. I'll show you in another picture. Next one. So you can see that to be able to make instrument work in the space, for that matter on the moon, you put lot of demand. It requires huge amount of expertise. You characterize it first, you ruggedize it. There were problems so in data communication, and then you cross this Lakshman Rekha of thermo vacuum test and vibration test. My wife is sitting right here in the audience. I remember that my son was almost on the deathbed, and my instrument was to cross the thermo vacuum test, and I had to choose whether to come to Hyderabad or to stay for the thermo vacuum test, which will take place once in a month. If I miss that bus, my instrument would not have been qualified for moon. I remember I told my wife that I am not coming today. I may take a day or so. I made sure that this instrument passes the test, and I feel as if standing on the Mount Everest. Yeah, I want to just tell my wife and sort her pardoning me that sometimes you really go mad as if I am trying to prove that this instrument is more close to me than my son. I had spoken to my brother. My brother said that he worked in Saudi Arabia. He said that I have seen asthmatic attacks, but don't you just hold on. Nothing much will happen. He will just come over it. And I don't know whether I listened to my brother well, whatever happened, but everything went on well, and the guy is in Intel now in Austin. Next one. Next slide, yeah. So, since a lot of technocrats are there, we did a classic reverse engineering. If Devjyoti is there, can I go over a couple of minutes more? Yeah, this is for the benefit of a lot of guys who are aspiring to become startup fellows. So here is the case where we had a problem of removing the software which was supplied by the vendor, and that was communicating. We had a microprocessor, ARM microprocessor, which was a silly microprocessor having lot of data which was to be sent at the time of powering. It was not residing on the instrument. So when you power it on, a huge amount of data will get transferred from the PC to the hardware. So we didn't know what all is going on between from the instrument and the computer, and we can't send the computer to the moon. Every gram you send it to the moon, you have to pay a huge price. So the reverse engineering was, I Googled, the Google was not available in VSSC Trivandrum, so I came back home and stayed middle of the night. I had that LAN BSNL connection in the night, sitting and trying to see what are all there. One German young boy had come up with an idea which is called serial sniffer software. That guy said that for all the IT companies in those days, the IT guys are coming and working, and they're not working for his company, and they're only reading the newspaper, Malayalam Manorama. I don't know what it is, Siyasat Daily. So being a CEO, I want to know what the hell my employees are doing. To tap my employees, that guy had written this program, serial sniffer software. So I took the earlier version and then tried to tap the data and try to switch on my instrument, and it didn't work. We were on the almost 1 month we delayed, and the project guy said that if you want to send the computer also, to hell with you, just get out of here. So then I found out, we figured out, one guy told us in ISRO headquarters, hey, there is a problem. When you shake hand with the instrument, there is a baud rate, and then there is one more set where you have to flip, and when you transfer the data, it will again switch over the baud rate. So if you look at the combinations at baud rate and parity, I'm sorry, yeah, I was not getting the word parity. So if I see the combination of baud rate parity, there are umpteen number of combinations. I can't try out and then get at the time of handshake what am I using, for data transfer what am I using. So I solved the problem. I can't share it. In fact, my wife is a PhD. Even with her, I have not shared. This is actually ISRO's proprietary thing. I can't share with any of you guys. But we solved this. When we solved in ISRO headquarters, they said that, boy, you guys have really solved one of the best reverse engineering problem. And hence we replaced that with the FPGA. You can see that. Next. Okay, yeah. So the instrument which we built was one of the best in the world, and I'm not fooling all of you people because you don't belong to science or anything. This instrument, if I compare to the best in the class, the one which actually worked on Earth's atmosphere, Jupiter and Saturn, our instrument is 100 times better dynamic range, and it is almost 10,000 times better sensitivity, and very small. Just like I make people laugh. The guy did so much of laughing with you guys. He left no room for me to play that. So it's like a Sachin Tendulkar as compared to Matthew Hayden. So you need a small guy who can really give that big punch. Anyway, next. Next, yeah. So this is my baby, which is there in my lab, which is no more there on the earth. It has fallen on the moon. This is the instrument I built. Yeah, next. So This instrument went on to find water, discover water on the moon. There were some hiccups and all. There is no time for me to discuss all that. Even though this instrument, without any doubt, it found abundance amount of water, which is abundance actually means from instrument point of view. It is trace amount of water. We didn't find lakes or rivers and all, but it did work, and you can see that direct evidence of water. But the credit of finding water doesn't lie with this instrument or with us. I fought it back with the journal which did the injustice to the Indian instrument. I wish I could go into the details. Let's ignore about all that. But believe me, this is the one which found water on the moon for the first time. Next. Yeah. So let's come back to Chandrayaan 2. India was to go to Chandrayaan moon again, but in between, India had an opportunity to go to planet Mars. There was a huge things at stake for the scientists to say that is there a life on planet Mars? And India wanted to catch up with that bandwagon. ISRO wanted to see, and ISRO built state-of-the-art 5 instruments, and they reached Mars. India became the first country ever to reach planet Mars. No other country had ever reached in their first attempt. India did that, and it took a lot of time. After 2008, you can see that India went to moon second time in 2019. Next. So we took a ride on the so-called GSLV Mark III, amazing rocket, and all. These slides are for college students and all, and it will suffice for you guys also. Just to say the least, that this is one of the fabulous rockets, very powerful. India was trying for the first time ever. They closed their eyes and said that let's go for it. They did it, and they could carry a lot of lander, orbiter, and of course the rover by virtue of this rocket. Next. Yeah. So there are, you can see that this time India came up with a fabulous idea, built 13 instruments right here on Indian soil, no problems, everything was all there in the face, and all the instruments, I wish, this is all I do, I'm an instrument scientist, I wish I could spend a lot of time, I don't have time. Believe me, the instruments were all good, they all worked. Next. Yeah, there's no time. I think you all guys know. I don't want to spend time. How did we go to the moon? We went in that Mangalyaan film, if you have seen. We went to the moon in a cheapest way, easiest way, which many people didn't believe when we were going to the moon for the first time. But the guys at ISRO were damn sure that they'll be able to reach. And the first time when we went, we had a PSLV, which is 1,000 times less in thrust as compared to the GSLV Mark III. And so India came up with the idea of slowly raising the orbit and then catching up close to the moon and get captured by the moon and then shrink the orbit again. And then last phase you try to land on the moon. Next. Yeah, so I am almost getting close to what I intend to say. So landing on an extraterrestrial body throws a lot of challenges. I wish I could spend more time. I'm just trying to say that barring couple of successes, the very first success where Curiosity was one of the amazing attempts by humans to land on planet Mars. Later, Europeans tried to land on Mars, they failed. Israelis tried to land on moon just before Chandrayaan 2, they too failed. So there are a lot of problems. I just tell you what the problem is in 1 minute or so. Next slide. So what is the problem? The problem of landing on a foreign object is the following. So this is all the crux of what I intend to impress upon you people, that why ISRO has caught the attention of all the people and all. How amazing it was on part of ISRO that they landed on the moon. The trouble is the following. When you are revolving around the moon, your orbital speed is 6,100 kilometers per hour. Now you started from 30 kilometers over the moon. Slowly you have to reorient and go to the place of landing, and then you have to reduce that 6,000 kilometers per hour to almost none. And when you go close to the surface, so what do? I do it, you can see on the right hand side, my orbital velocity is forward motion. If I fire a rocket in the same forward motion, it's called retro firing. I feel as if I'm getting a break. So retro firing, I stop my forward velocity. Retro firing, stop my velocity. So you can see on the left hand side that as you are coming down from 30 kilometers to almost the surface where I want to land, I'm continuously firing the retro rocket. You might have seen guys hovering over the lake, humans, with some kind of retro firing under their feet. So if you just keep on firing, retro firing from your feet, I can jump from that building. I don't know, I'll have to first try on the lake and then jump from the building. So the guy who is trying on the lake also can't jump. So that's the retro firing technology. So that's all people do to land. Any miscalculation, you're finished. Space is so unfavorable, space is so ruthless. Any mistake, you're gone. You're absolutely finished. That's all made it in Chandrayaan 2. They did everything meticulously correct. Landing at 2.1 kilometers, they missed it. They got finished. Next. So yeah, and the worst part for Chandrayaan 2 and Chandrayaan 3 also, ISRO took a challenge that we want to land at a place where nobody else had landed. This will prove that point by saying that Apollos and all landed around the equator of the moon, and couple of probes from Russia could land closer to the south, and India wanted to land very close to the South Pole. Why South Pole only? Because there are a lot of there are a lot of theories which say that if you can go to South Pole, you can find buried ice in the craters at the South Pole. And that is the reason Moon Impact Probe also got slammed at the South Pole. Artemis program, US is spending $5 billion as I speak to you, and they want to have an outpost close to the South Pole. Next. Yeah, so we were not knowing so much about what exactly happened to Chandrayaan 2 and all. In the recent past, the chairman of ISRO came on public meetings and said that we failed in landing on the moon purely because the sequence design which we actually made for had a flaw. And he said that that flaw is rectified. So after 2 slides, I got another 3 more slides. So maybe 5 or 6 slides. So I'll wind up my presentation. There, conclusively, the ISRO's guys realized what the problem was and they rectified it. Next slide. Yeah, so this is the, again, from GSLV Mark III, they came back to a fabulous rocket, which is called Launch Vehicle Mark III. Launch Vehicle Mark III is the rocket which will give you least amount of vibrations, which will take, it is for Gaganyaan, for humans also. So this is the rocket which will give you a smooth ride into the space, and on that rode the Chandrayaan 3, which you can see that it's there standing right on the top nose of the rocket. Next slide. Landing on the moon thanks to artificial intelligence and a huge amount of sensors they all have. So they have aerospace engineering had a thing called guidance navigation control. So what I do is I have set of sensors, they keep on giving me all the inputs. Then I have a sequencer. My sequencer will actually follow all the inputs. It will take all the inputs and then it will independently take decisions about what to do. What do you want to do? You are expected to actually have a soft landing. And for soft landing, what do? I got to fire a retro rocket. Retro rocket is a very powerful rocket. It will give you a jolt. If you just keep on firing mindlessly, that's what happened to Chandrayaan 2, then you topple and then you will never be able to land. So you have to, so there is a rough firing, there is a gentle firing. So combination of rough firing, gentle firing, and keep on knowing that what is your velocity with which you are going. So next slide, if I go to, one second, no, can you go back? Can you go back? Yeah, so they had this sequencers, 3 sequencers. They said that they get a real-time guidance that what exactly is happening. If there is any deviation, then switch over to sequence 2, which will solve your problems because things are not going well. They had a almost Mrita Sanjeevani type of a solution where they said everything fails. Then they had an emergency sequencer which will only make sure that the retro firing is taking place, and it's just like a blind man going and just stopping at a place where you asked him to stop. And you have asked him to actually land at South Pole. That was the sequence 3 which never got invoked, but that's the reason the chairman of ISRO was all laughing and saying that this time we are going to land. The guy was having no stress. If you recall the TV show when Chandrayaan 3 landed, the guy was absolutely stress-free. Anyway, so next. So these are the sensors. I wish I could go into the details and all. Believe me, these are state-of-the-art sensors. Most of them are made in India. And these sensors will tell you what is your velocity, what is your acceleration. They had fantastic cameras which will tell you what exactly is happening. As I know the camera, I'll know. And let's say I'm asked to land at the guys who are operating the computer. So I know that as I see this pattern, I'm this far away from them. So the AI will calculate and tell me that, okay, since you're so far, your fuel is this much, control control this much of speed. Okay, you have a lot of fuel, and then, okay, no problem. Just keep within the, your velocity range. All those decisions were all put in, and that was to work properly. Next. Yeah. So they also had a couple of, I got 4 more slides, please. Hold on, and then I'm through. Okay, so they said that instead of landing on a given spot, try to land on a strip, which is 4 kilometers by 2.5 kilometers. It's as if a plane is landing. And where to find the strips, you can see that they have actually found out from their orbital high resolution camera where all those flat strips are there. Otherwise you go and fall in a crater. The moon is absolutely full of craters. I wish I could show the picture, but you can see here also there are a lot of craters. So once you end up in a crater, you're finished anyway. So your mission is failed. So all those homeworks were carried out. Next. Okay, so this is, they also came up with extra sensor, extra communication tool. They also had huge amount of fuel so that they will have a good control to be able to actually hover, wait for a while, and then move away and then slowly land. This was not there in Chandrayaan 2. Hence, the sequencer told that since you are left with this much of fuel only, for the heck of it, try to go and land. And they smashed on the South Pole. So this extra fuel also was very helpful. So they were prepared on every front. Next one. Yeah, so they did a lot of modeling. As we are talking about AI and all that, you could actually sit and model. So they did a lot of modeling by saying that no matter from where I start, I start moving away from my track also. Will I be able to land at the place of my choice? They did thousands of runs, and they found out that yes, they can land exactly at the place where they have decided to land. This is the modeling. Next one. These, all the slides are from Somnath, chairman of ISRO. These are not my slides. Believe me, the guy was so spot on. He was spot on. So if you look at this, this is my last explanation. Where they did was, this is a typical ISRO's way of doing. Their mantra is seeing is believing. You got to see. You say that, sir, I have made one IoT, it will do wonders. The ISRO guy will say, can you show me how does it work? So what they did was they did cold test, they did hot test. What are cold test? They assembled the whole Vikram, put it in a chopper and made sure that all the 9 sensors are working. And then they took the Vikram and dropped it from almost 100, just like the crane which I'm seeing at the back. They literally dropped the Vikram and say, can you demonstrate you were firing and all and holding on and hoovering? Vikram did all that. I'll show you in the next slide. Have a look. Next. Yeah, you can see that the chopper carried and made sure that all the, so they had lot of craters at the bottom. They wanted to see whether they are getting a signature that yes, crater is there, please don't land. If flat space is there, please go ahead and land. All those tests were done by chopper, and then they dropped it from the crane, which you see right at your back. Simply dropped it and made the Vikram to bloody, I'm sorry for this, bloody get down smoothly. And the Vikram did get down very smoothly. Next. Yeah. So this is, being an instrument scientist, I try to do what I am good at it. So India carried huge amount of instruments. I wish I will go into the details. Devjyoti, I'm almost through, getting through. Okay, okay. I think that I got a signal. So these instruments are there. I'll run through. No, I don't have time. Next one. Believe me, one sec. Believe me, all these instruments were built here in India. They were state of the art. They were never tried on the moon. ISRO tried for the first time on the moon, and you all saw that all the 4 instruments churned out their data, and they were available on the TV you were watching. Next. Next one, yeah. So I work just 1 kilometer diagonally across in the lane of Rayadurgam metro station. There we are building small satellites. My CEO has worked for Planet Labs. This guy is 45 years old. He has built 300 satellites. And I'm so fascinated to work with him. We built one 6U CubeSat. We are presently bringing, this is not salesman pitch, but I'm just trying to say that being a scientist, I want to build one satellite which is unique, just in 24 kilograms, and you can see at the bottom, 25 kilograms, 100 watts. And if you compare the comparison, the European Union built the similar satellite for $800 million. Here in Rayadurgam Gully, we are trying to make it for $3 to $4 million. You may say that, can you do it? Yes, I can do it. I just thought about a comparison. If I'm going to the moon, I don't need an iPhone. I can do it with Nokia 3310. That's my plan. Next. Yeah. So India has become actually a powerhouse of space-borne instrumentation. Take it from me. India would lead the space-borne instrumentation. Remember the guy who built, the SME who built for a commercial mass spectrometer? You know, you can have tons of instruments. Chandrayaan 1, then the MOM and all that. So many instruments are there. These are the Aditya's instruments, state-of-the-art, built right here in India. So India is a powerhouse. You got to believe me. It's standing right on the cusp of doing exceedingly well. So as my title of my talk said, that moon and beyond, and we are really scaled up and we are ready to go no matter which planet, you name it, we have it. Next. Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you so.
I can take questions if they want.
Would you like to have any questions? Sir, we are not knowledgeable as you are. We are not as knowledgeable. Half of that spectrometer and everything, being an engineer was like going up. But sir, please step up right in the middle. Let's all just give him a big round of applause. I want everybody, please let's have a big round of applause for him. And I'd like to call upon the Chief Executive Officer of the Telangana Academy for Skill and Knowledge, Mr. Shrikant Sinha, on stage to please honor Maqbool sir. And along with him, J. Chaudhary sir, can we have you on stage please? J. Chaudhary sir, Dr. sir, on stage please. And let's actually do this. इन्होंने कहा है कि $800 million का जो.
To stay informed about the startup ecosystem, subscribe to My Startup TV.